Ladies and gentlemen, hello everyone. I was going to say I didn't know whether it's morning or afternoon, but welcome to the first panel session after the opening session. And my name is Anthony Johnson. I'm the ambassador from Jamaica in the Caribbean, and I start with a very great problem. The panel before were supposed to be persons who would set out the status quo which they were expected to defend. And I was supposed to come and complain about the status quo and really hit the system. Well, as you all know, they were unanimous on one thing, that the system is not working, and that we need to turn a new page, and some said a new book, some said a new room, an entire new program. And I was intending to say just that. So I'm afraid you're going to get quite a bit more from me. However, we have a very distinguished panel, and I'm glad they're all in place, and I hope we will have a beautiful discussion when the panels are finished. The world has signed on to 8 Millennium Development Goals as a priority in making the Earth provide its people with living conditions which the current level of technology have long made possible. Of the 8 goals, 3 are strongly related to agriculture. 1, to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. 2, to ensure environmental sustainability. 3, to develop a global partnership for development. Since 43% of the world's labor force is engaged in agriculture, 40% of its land is engaged in agriculture, and 100% of its people eat food and use this not merely for nutrition, but as an essential act of partnership, breaking bread together. As the root of many cultures, there can be no doubt as to the importance of agriculture as man's oldest occupation. Year 2009, we lack the normal excuses for failure in explaining our inability to feed all 6.6 billion of us, and especially to feed the 900 million people in the Americas, which boast the 1st, 9th, 10th, 13th, and 30th richest countries on the planet. Within the 34 countries of the hemisphere, we have 1, the land to produce it all. Indeed, the region is the major exporter of agricultural products. 2, the best educated and proficient farming professionals, technicians and workers in the world. 3, the largest pools of capital from public, private, non-profit, philanthropic, multilateral and regional sources on the planet. 4, entrepreneurial skills are in abundance. Communication networks abound. Every country announces as priorities every year in its budget debates food production, the welfare of farmers, the protection of the countryside and participation in international agricultural trade. But yet, you heard from the previous panel, we are not producing. It is on the subject of creating an investment climate for agriculture that this panel will attempt to throw some light. 3 centuries have passed since the Industrial Revolution removed farming as man's main and in some cases only source of employment. 2 centuries have passed since the majority of American countries gained independence and set out to build their prosperity on agriculture. All countries have had successes in critical areas and all have had failures. But for the majority of the rural population in Latin America and the Caribbean, farming has not produced an acceptable standard of living. The capacity to produce value from the land reveals wide gaps. The World Bank uses 3 indicators to illustrate the gaps: value added per worker, use of fertilizer, and the percent of farmland irrigated. And they show a massive spread. I won't bore you with the facts. Many of them were covered earlier. On food security, the consecration of mankind's diet to 4 cereals, rice, wheat, maize, and sorghum, places society at extreme risk. The spike in wheat prices in 2007 caused riots across the globe, particularly in countries which had been weaned on cheap, subsidized imports. FAO has consistently warned that we are courting disaster. On development, I will state the following. In the Americas, 30% of the population is in agriculture, producing 5% of GDP, which means that the agricultural population is 1/6 as wealthy as the rest. One size does not fit all. That population, the 40%, is not completely poor people. It includes some very wealthy people. So when you look at the 1/6 poorer, it means that some people are not 1/6 but 1/60th poorer than the rest of the population. The resulting face of rural poverty is regarded sometimes as cute or even indigenous. But let us not forget that it is the base cause of the well-documented rural-urban migration, which swells favelas, the breeding ground of the high crime rate, which was denounced unanimously in San Pedro Sula in February by us. It attracts drug dealers and is the base of the calamitous international drug trade, which is the region's major security threat. I want to dedicate this session to a young man, 21 years old, in rural Jamaica, whom I went and helped on election day 6 years ago. And we worked hard together from 4 o'clock in the morning until we counted the ballots 10 o'clock at night.